Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffe Kennedy, author of epic fantasy romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Delightful. Today is Monday, September 2nd, first podcast of September. And here we are, U.S. Labor Day. I will be laboring today, although my job isn't all that much labor. Yeah, So I finished off last week strong. I was very pleased with it. It ended up being August was my third best month of the year, um, considering that July was my second best month of the year and June was the fourth best. Um, all of that since January being the best. I'm pretty pleased with it overall. Feeling like I have my mojo back again. Um, I It was also my second best week of the entire year. So I'm taking it. I was pretty happy about that. And I only missed it being the best week of the year by about 600 words. So yeah, I'm feeling good about that. Working on getting my word count back up there, seeing how much I can do. I saw a thing from Kelly Armstrong, who is not only a wonderful writer, but a lovely person. I really like Kelly a whole bunch. And Kelly is enviably productive. She is, um, she does much better than I do. She's great. Everybody's great. I'm going to walk this back slightly. I don't want to pin personal worth on your ability to generate words because that's certainly not true, and that's not even your worth as a writer. But she was talking about NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, who apparently, and I know this only from Kelly, but I figure she's a reliable source, uh, they have decided that banning the use of AI, I always want to put that in air quotes, language learning models, chat GPT, uh, that banning that from NaNoWriMo would be ableist and encourages privilege. And she's feeling done. She said she was already kind of done last year when they had the accusations of grooming. A lot of young people in these groups. One of the founders was, yeah, not good stuff. So, long-time listeners will know that I have never been an enormous fan of NaNoWriMo. And I have tried to walk back some of my opinions on this because, like Kelly, I do think that what NaNoWriMo teaches you is to write regularly, to produce words, which is one of the big stumbling blocks for many people. It's just hard to learn to just put the words down, to get them on the page, and not let all these other things get in the way. You know, the dread and procrastination, the internal editor, the worrying about how it's going to be. NaNoWriMo does help with that because you're trying to write 50,000 words in the month of November, and which works out to 1,666 point something each day of the month, and it's good for that. Being able to use something like Chat GPT to write your book, I understand why people want to use it, especially people for whom English is a second language. Although we got to warn y'all, Chat GPT doesn't necessarily produce good grammar. Uh, it can be technically correct, but it's like word salad within the grammar at times. Uh, but the thing is, I'm trying to think of a nice way to put this. I know that the advent of tools, and this is how it's being billed by the software companies, it's just a tool to aid in your writing. And I think an important aside here is to be aware that the software companies are in a panic over AI. Do I have to put it in air quotes every time? Just assume I'm putting it in air quotes every time. The reason I do is because it's not really artificial intelligence. Um, I've been over this. Anyway, uh, all of these companies have invested a huge amount of money in AI, figuring it's the wave of the future. It's enormously expensive to produce if you have not been following some of this stuff. It uses a tremendous amount of water to cool the servers. The servers have a huge carbon footprint. Sorry, they consume an enormous amount of energy. It's tempting to think of these things as being free because it's invisible, but actually, AI is a monster that is very, very bad for the planet, and people don't want to use it. Overall, it's not being the thing that the software companies think it will be, which is why they're pushing it so hard. Uh, it's turning up in all these weird places where we don't want it, right? They're offering us the AI assistant. Uh, and somebody pointed out very early on, okay, so there is a subset of people who want to write a book, but mostly they want to have written a book. And actually, I should say that the Venn diagram of those of us who want to have written our book is pretty huge because writing a book is a fuck ton of work. It's not easy to do. And there, we're I'm thinking of all the metaphors for this kind of thing, where the rubber meets the road on this kind of thing is whether or not someone is able to make themselves do the work, and it is always the crux. This goes back to NaNoWriMo, right? It is the are you able to take what's in your head and do the work to get it on the page. And it takes a long time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes self-examination. It's it's painful. Nobody will argue that. It is not fun. So this is why there are so many people out there who are saying, I've always wanted to write a book. I always thought I had a novel in me. And there's no novel to be seen because they've never been able to get themselves from point A to point B. And some people can't. And that's just how it is, right? Well, so these people, and I'm going for the lowest common denominator here. I'm probably not talking to any of you, right? Because you're going to the effort of actually listening to a podcast about being a writer. These are the people who, the bro out there who just wants to have written his enormous fantasy novel and be a millionaire and retire and get babes. Something like this. And I'm thinking of one guy I know in particular, who like wants to be the best, wants to have written this amazing fantasy novel, but can't find the time to do it. Cannot find the time to do it. Uh, you know, if you've been listening to me any length of time, you know that I will come right out and say, you're never going to find the time. You have to make the time. This is part of the effort. It's part of the self-discipline. It's part of the self-transformation that is required in order to write a novel. Uh, so from the very beginning, when ChatGPT came out, we knew that there was going to be a thing where all of these people who wanted to have written a novel without doing the work of writing a novel would jump on this tool. So likewise, NaNoWriMo, there are going to be people who want to use a language tool to write their novel for them, and then they can say that they won. And it's not really a contest. Kelly points that out. It's a contest with yourself when you say you won because you managed to write 50,000 words. Well, use the tool to put together 50,000 words, and hooray, you won. um, there's a level of absurdity to this. Uh, But there's always going to be a certain denominator of people who want to claim a level of success, to say, oh yes, I'm just like so and so, I've accomplished this thing without having done the work. And I'm going to let you all in on a little secret here, which is totally not a secret. The work is the point. Doing the work is the point of the whole thing. Yeah, it's great to make a living as a writer. I love that I can make my living as a writer, but I would not give up everything that I had to do and learn and go through over the past 30 years now in order to become the person that I needed to be where I am now. And you know, a capitalist society. I never want to go into this kind of blaming everything on capitalism, and yet now here I am feeling like I'm bringing it up a lot. But in a capitalist society, people are always going to try to sell you the idea that there is a magic pill that you can purchase from them to have everything you want. Just buy the thing and you'll be happy. Just buy the tool and you can be a writer. But don't forget the part where you didn't actually write anything. Hopefully that it kind of paused there. I'll repeat just in case. Where they want to sell you the tool where you can say that you're a writer without actually having to write. And plugging a story idea into a machine doesn't make you a writer. I'm sorry, it doesn't. You want to use a machine language device to improve your grammar, save your hands, save your voice, whatever. I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but if you're using a tool to write your book for you, you don't get the writer badge. I'm sorry. That's the way it goes. I talked about that a lot longer than I intended to. I do want to address something about luck. There's, as always seems to be, I guess at least Threads gives us robust conversation. Oh, here we have a cat. Tail across the camera. Apologize for that if you're on video. Jillian, what are you doing? Come here. Come here. Sorry, I should probably pause for this, but if you're on video, you're getting a nice view of Killian. Probably got some cat butt in there. Sorry. He wants me to take his harness and collar off of him because he came in. Okay, turn around and say hi to the people. Oh, no, now he's not going to. Say hi. Oh, look at that face. What a face. Okay, go on now. We're doing a podcast. Okay. What was I saying before we were so rudely interrupted by the cat? Oh, luck, Threads, author conversations. There's been a bit of a conversation going around that people sort of weighing in on both sides of like whether it's fair to say that writing is being successful in publishing is due to luck. And I think it's important to note that, as with all things, there is a lot of nuance here. Yes, serendipity, good fortune, right place, right time, right thing at the right time. That can have an enormous influence on whether or not you're successful. It's also true that you make your own luck. You cannot count on lightning striking. Someone like Sarah J. Maas is successful in part because lightning struck. Same thing with J.K. Rowling, which proves that you don't have to be a good person to have good luck. Twilight, Stephanie Meyer hit the right thing at the right time. And people try to reverse engineer phenomena like this. They try to figure out, and this is a human nature thing, right? We're always trying to figure out, what did someone do wrong that they got attacked by the tiger? They should not have gone to the watering hole at that time of day. We're hardwired to figure these things out. Somebody lands in a banana grove. We try to figure out, well, what did they do to land in that banana grove? That's just how we survive, right? So people are always trying to reverse engineer success. Like, what did this person do to succeed? And I think it's really important to remember that a lot of times people don't know what they did to succeed, because it was lightning, because it was serendipity. And the success gurus don't like this idea, because they want to sell you, we're back to capitalism, they want to sell you the formula, the method, the technique that you can do. You manifest your luck, you manifest what you want to have happen. And I'm a big believer in manifesting what you want to have happen. But a big part of manifesting is doing the work. So this ends up being related, after all, to the whole, using, whether or not you use a tool to write your book, putting in the effort, showing the universe that you want a thing, doing it for solid reasons. I do believe that all of these things have a magical effect. It's not necessarily in the way we think, but when you're looking at the course of your life, what do you want from your life? What do you want to be able to look back on and see? I'm sliding back into the chat GPT thing, but it's, you want to know that you did the thing, that you put the effort in, and whether or not it turned out amazing, whether or not you ended up making $1 million, or whether you ended up selling to 5 readers, that part doesn't matter so much as what you did, what you had to overcome to become that person. Yes, luck is part of it. Luck is part of it. I've seen people saying that, no, it's actually privilege and who you know. I'm always going to see this thing on, it's who you know. People, it is not who you know. And let's just say it is. Let's just say it is who you know. And I'm sort of running out of time here. Let me see if I can make my point cogently here. Let's say that I have this book that I sold to Tor because I know Debbie Pillai and Ali Fisher, who were great champions of this book at Tor. Debbie is the publisher at Tor. Ali Fisher is my editor. Okay, I didn't know Ali Fisher before this. My agent knew her. I met my agent because of Grace Draven, who is a good friend of mine. I've met Debbie Pillai before because she's been at SIFWA events. So if we trace these things back, if you want to reverse engineer this, I became friends with Grace Draven because of some books that I published with Carina Press. I published those books because I wrote them and negotiated that first book on my own. I sent that directly to the editor. My first agent read that book and offered to represent me and sold me further books. Those moved on to building my career, to getting me Agent Sarah Younger at Nancy O's Literary, who I met because Grace and I had become friends because we read each other's books and our readers cross-recommended us. And Grace signed with Sarah, and I met Sarah because of Grace. Grace met Sarah in part because of Ilona Andrews, because they had read each other's books. Debbie I met through SIFWA because I became a member of SIFWA and I went to SIFWA events. So the thing is like, even if you accept that it's who you know, you can know these people. It's not easy. It's not simple. It's not this idea of, like these people just appear in your life and either you're in or you're out. Yes, There can be gatekeeping. Yes, it can be difficult, but you don't have to be going to $1 million charity events to meet people in the publishing industry. You don't have to um, have, there are people, certainly there are published authors whose like parents were friends with the publisher, Little Brown or something, and they got their book published that way. Sure, but you can get to know people. You get to know other authors. You do the work, you write your books, you celebrate your work, you celebrate the works of other authors. I always say that networking, that another word for it is making friends. Make friends with people in your community. Get to know these people. Get to know their agents. Get to know their editors. Make friends with people. Um, that's the whole thing about making your own luck, means that uh, you know yeah, you may not get hit by lightning, but you can sure learn how to build a lightning rod and get out there every time there's a storm and hold your lightning rod up and hope for lightning. And uh, that's what writing is about. That's what writing the book is about. And being part of the community. It's not feeding an idea into a machine. Uh, okay, on that note, I am going to go take my own advice and write my own words. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will talk to you all on Friday. You all take care. Bye bye.